What's good? Joy Revolution podcast with your boy Mark Cordone. Good to see you again. If we haven't met before, I truly believe that joy can be used as a leadership tool for social change, social justice. So let's get on these TEDx stages. Let's create podcasts. Let's write books that really shake it up, you misfits. So I have a misfit today who's shaking it up in her own way. I have to start with this. She's my friend. And like, when I say that she's my friend, like I got goosebumps saying that she's my friend. So there's a little bit of out of character Mark that's going to show up here. And I'm going to tell you who she is in the big world, right? And then we're going to talk about who she is in my world. She's a world traveler, adventure enthusiast, bohemian business badass who literally flipped her life upside down to chase that feeling of coming alive. She left a comfortable, posh, six-figure corporate job, which I can never see her doing corporate, to live full-time in a motorhome. Get this, she went and declared this in front of like a Tony Robbins group, and it happened. Welcome, my friend, Polly Mertens.
What's up,
Mertens,
brother?
what are you doing on my show? What are you doing
We're
here?
gonna mix it up. I love the misfit vibe. I'm
Mix it
like,
up?
all right, let's do that.
Well, you and I are from the island of misfit toys. That's how it's always kind of felt for me when I've been talking to you.
And when you say like friend, what I get is like it's lifelong, like and beyond
Yes,
life probably, because you and I believe in more than just this life. So I have a feeling when you
completely.
say life, it's like we just finally met up at our pre-prescribed time. We accepted our invitation and we came together on this planet and this life and this time zone at the same time. And now we're like, oh, let's play the rest of this life, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it. By the way, all you folks who know me and me and Polly through the leadership program we're in, hint, both of us are woo. We're both woo as fuck. And I do want to talk about this. I want to talk about this Come Alive program that we'll be talking about later. But like, it's almost as if when I'm going through this introduction, it was like this path for you to like kind of go through this story, right, of coming alive. And I can't wait to talk about it more with you. But yo, I'm not going to wait till the very end. We're going to go to new.getbusythriving.com/come hyphen, is it hyphen? Yeah, hyphen alive hyphen welcome. I'm going to say it again. new.getbusythriving.com/come hyphen alive hyphen welcome. Go there. Manny, producer man, make some money for yourself and go and put this on the screen right now.
Let's do it.
Okay. So with this said, right, and I want to go and talk about your backstory, but also at the same time, you gave me this introduction. You're part joy junkie. You're part grounded badass leader. So like, what's making you feel most alive right now?
Definitely, so Mark, you and I are both in this leadership program. And one of the things that I have discovered for myself is, and I'm going to bring more woo woo into this. So if anybody's in the world of astrology and tarot and human design and gene keys, so in the world of gene keys, something that I'm enjoying being in the study of right now and discovering.
What's jinky?
Gene keys. Oh, you don't know gene keys. Okay.
You thought I was into this stuff. When I heard you say that, I was like, wasn't that like a jean brand in the 2000s? But I'm like, no, that's Jinko. That's Jinko, not Jinky. What's Jinky?
Gene keys, like the genes, like the DNA in your body.
Gene keys.
Gene
Got it.
keys. Yeah. Do you know it? Okay, so are we speaking? Okay, we're not speaking French and English here. We're speaking together.
But for the audience member who doesn't know it, let's talk French, English, Jinky. Like, what is gene keys?
So gene keys, GeneKeys, genekeys.com is the origination of that. Richard Rudd created this. It's from what I understand, like a channeled, understanding birthed out of his study of human design, which was Rauruhu's channeled work many years ago. So there's like this lineage, and I've been, a student of Gene Keys for the last several years. And one of the if you get into the study of it, it helps you understand your shadow sides, like the things that hold you back, or when you're not being in your most illuminated self. And then there's the gift, or the city, the highest version of what you're here to express, right? In lots of areas. So your life's work, your radiance, your magnetism, things like that. And something that I'm discovering in one of my gene keys, the shadow side is compromise.
The shadow side is compromise. So by shadow side, this is sort of, it's not the negative part. This is the part that may be kind of lurking in someone's sort of potential, but like to shine light on it may feel uncomfortable or there's a growth edge, right?
I would say it's an expression that's not healthy or not like fully aligned with who we are. It's when we're
Mm.
not, shadow is in like when we're, I would say, not fully connected to source, when we're not fully aligned with what we're here to do. We lean on, and I guess one of the easier ways to express this is like a lot of culture, a lot of society right now is living in shadow, right? It's living in the
Yeah.
fear vibration. It's living in the, the darker side of what humanity's capable of, or the possibility or the potential or the greatness that lies within us. And
Yeah.
so when we don't awaken to that gift, we stay in the shadow, we stay, compromise. So some of my other ones, these are really fun. I'll let them all out there. So doubt,
Yeah.
confusion,
Yeah.
impatience. So like these are some of,
Yeah.
hunger, like, and I had an eating disorder 20 years. Hello.
Yeah.
Right. So
We're going to go right for the jugular in first 10 minutes. Like, yeah,
yeah. So when
completely.
I've been living in these shadow sides instead of fully alive and in my gifts, so the opposite, so the compromise when I live not in my shadow and I live in my competence, right?
Mm.
And I take away the doubt and I turn it into curiosity, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I take confusion and I turn it into imagination. So I get creative curiosity and I get confident competence, like living, knowing, like I have no doubt. I have curiosity. I have not shadow of, like I'm not good enough. Instead, I
Yeah.
step into my competence, like, oh, I know this. So, and I'm even doing this right now, like on this podcast in my life through our leadership program. It's like I'm
Completely.
trusting that growth, right?
Completely. And you know what I love about what you're bringing up already is this idea that like we do have these competencies that exist, right? But also, this is the front of the hand, our competencies, right? Wink, wink. And then on the back of the hand, we have our shadow. So it's like almost parts of one comes with the other. It's not like one is bad or one is good. It's almost as if like they're part of a whole to sort of keep us evolving, right?
And it's listening, so we can stay in that. Like we get conditioned by society, by, I call it inherited conversations of who we're meant
Yeah.
to be, supposed to be. This is the way it is. We go through that. The childhood, we come into this world, beautiful bouncing babies, just brilliant and like totally self-expressed, right? And then well-meaning parents who want us to, quote, survive in the world because they were conditioned by their parents. They condition us into do this, all these to-dos and shoulds and whatever, thinking that they're helping us survive. And a lot of us come out of childhood, unfortunately, with survival strategies, not thriving strategies.
Right. Did you come out of your childhood with survival strategies?
We all did. And one of my big ones was an eating disorder. Yeah. So it
Got
was
it.
a way to hide out, to get through just all this. I did a blog post many, many years ago. I called it the hole in the soul because I felt just empty. And what was I doing? I was just filling it with food, filling it with food, you know?
Okay.
So.
Got it. Got it. So would you consider your when it comes to your childhood? I just want to go open like before the eating disorder sort of manifested, right? Was it a childhood in which you're reflecting back and you're like, I received enough or I didn't receive enough or I received things that I realize now were unhealthy?
I want to tell you just one story before I answer that question directly. So you and I have both been through some landmark work, and that means the landmark forum. So I did this almost 22 years ago or something like that. And I can remember the day, it was like the landmark forum is a 3-day event. And on Saturday, like I hadn't been talking in it at all. It's like 200 people and I'm all intimidated, oh, whatever. Who are these people? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And on the second
Did you go there when you were like that six-figure, super ostensibly successful person, or were you already kind of
I was making my
li-
way up the ladder.
Okay, got
I was
it.
making
Okay.
my way up the ladder. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so
So,
there they are. Here
so,
you are,
so
200
I'm
people,
there, and
landmark
there's a
forum.
leader at the front of the room. Picture like 200 people sitting down, and you stand up. You can ask a question at the microphone. And I stood up, and I was answering the question. Telling him about my childhood. You asked about my childhood,
Hmm.
so I was telling him about my childhood, and what I proceeded to say was like, I didn't have a childhood. And the forum leader's like, well, that's just a story. And then he moved on to the next person. And I sat down and I was like, what does it even mean to have a, what do you mean that's a story? That's how it went. Right?
Yeah.
So like that's the, the 30
So it was
something,
real. Yeah.
30 something
Yeah.
me thought she didn't have a childhood. It was like, well, really? No, sorry. We all go through childhood. All right.
Yeah.
I thought I grew up too fast. I thought I had to take on all this independence. I had to, all these ways of survival kicked in. And the story I came out of childhood was I didn't have a childhood. Like, I had to take care of myself. But I was a, bouncing baby. My parents took care of me. They fed me, they clothed me, they loved me like as best they could. I never went for want. I wasn't
Yeah.
starving or crying or abandoned or anything like that. I was never abused either, so.
Got it. Okay. So, well, I also wanted to throw this out, and we can edit this out if you want, but there was turmoil in your household as well, and so like I can see you receiving enough. And by the way, this is my judgment. I do not have the evolved landmark know-how like you do. I look up to you when it comes to being able to see things. I still see things as my story, so I may be going into your story right now. And so correct me if it but you had experienced like alcoholism around you and stuff like that, and that doesn't mean that you didn't grow up in a loving household, but also that does shape who you are in the here and now. And even in Landmark, we talk about some of those seminal moments in our childhood that kind of show up again now. And so there's a couple things that I'm thinking is that that was a story for you, right? That you've been able to transmute, alchemize into something new with coming alive, right? Or it is something that still impacts you in a way that maybe you go back to the shadow self again, the hand flips every now and then. So I am curious about that side of your story and how you consider that having impact, if anything, on you right now.
Look at it. So yes, the what so of what my childhood existed. Yeah, I had a parent who was an alcoholic for decades, right? And I only come to find out now later, also addicted to an opioid for panic disorder. I didn't know it, but
Yo.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was this, and like I said, I knew about the outward alcoholism, but I didn't know. And this is my mom. This wasn't alcoholism like raging and fight, no, it was just like 3 beer. I don't know how many, but I'm going to say like 3 beers a day kind of alcoholism, And
So low grade fever alcoholism, right? Right. Like we were talking about before, right? Like we have low grade fevers and things.
And by
Okay.
all means, maybe there was more to it that I never saw. I could have been going and doing other things. She self-proclaims that she had alcoholism, and when I went to high school at an age I think it was a senior in high school, she says she put down the bottle. So she says that was her time, right? And
Got
then
it.
my dad, you asked about my parents. So my dad was, in and out of mental institutions, back when they existed. These days, they just go homeless, right? And my dad was homeless. He lived out of his car for years, So I had a dad that was, we talk about kids like non-starting or whatever. So he graduated from an Ivy League school. My dad was a Cornell grad engineer. Fucking brilliant man, right? Like,
Oh my
helped
gosh.
me through high school doing all of my geometry and my trigonometry and stuff. Like, he could help me with all that math problems, but could he keep a job or hold down, couldn't do it. But God bless him, his parents were out of the picture before he was 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Did that shape in any way the way you started showing up in high school? Because suddenly Polly in high school becomes this sort of rebellious Polly. Polly don't want a cracker. Like Polly want to be a rebel. And sort of these early patterns of like not wanting to fit in, like early stages of being claiming that you're a misfit toy, right?
totally. Well, so there's like this duality of what was going on for me in high school because I became senior class president. So I was like in a leadership role. But on
Yeah.
the other side, I was also drinking and drugging, on the weekends. I was
Nice.
partying hard, right?
Nice.
And the eating disorder was, as the eating disorder, I just want to tell a little bit of the origin story because I didn't do it I wouldn't say that I did it to, everybody's got a start origin story. So my eating disorder started, I was an athlete in high school. I really enjoyed athleticism, but I also love food, right? And
Yeah.
so you start to plump up a little bit. And with the societal culture around us about women, how they're supposed to look and things like that. So I'm reading in this magazine one day, this is before the internet, right? I'm reading in this magazine, Olympic athletes are now bulimic to be able to eat but also maintain their athleticism. And I went, well, if they can do it. So I took it as like a strategy.
Wow.
That's how it started. So what started as just this like, oh wow, I can like have a way to eat food that I enjoy, or binge on food that I enjoy, but also be this athlete and not get fat and stuff. Binging and purging became, and then I couldn't get out of it. And then it like became like it started to run me.
It
So
started running. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, what do you mean that you couldn't get out of it? I in and of myself have my own addictions, right? And it's changed over the years, whether it be an addiction to self or sugar or alcohol or any of those things. And now you're talking about it got you, right? Like, what do you mean it got you? Like, that's, and I want to kind of shed some light on this because of the fact that, well, number one, you might not even call this an addiction. But number two is like, how did it get out of control? It's almost like you started off being able to do this, like, and I don't know what it looked like. I'm guessing you ate, you love food, and then you purged it out, and then you could be fit and stuff like that. But then you couldn't stop. What do you mean you couldn't stop?
Well, there's a lot of things we could dissect in that question, but one thing I would just point to is the shame that comes with hiding an addiction, right? It's this downward spiral, right? So what it looked like, or what it felt like from the inside is, when I wanted to stop, when I didn't want to keep doing this as a strategy for staying thin, right? It was like, oh, I want to stop. And I'd like tell myself at night, okay, that was the last time, eating a box of donuts and getting rid of it. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, the body has a way that you become so ingrained in it. You get these mental patterns that get
Yep.
ingrained. The next day, my mind would tell me like, oh, we could stop by the donut shop on the way home, right? And like, that would just be, like it just, and I would just find myself going to the donut shop.
Okay.
So,
So number one, if you're gonna do anything, do the donuts, right? But then,
and I
like,
never eat donuts now. That's the funny thing. I'm like, oh, I would never eat a donut, but
I think I had 3 yesterday, homie. So like,
for the heck of
Cordone
it.
is all about them donuts, right? But like, okay, so I'm thinking this, and tell me if I'm close or if I'm not, right? You wake up in the morning and you're kind of like, right, God damn it, like this is a fresh start. I'm not doing it today, right? And then you're coming home from school. Well, let me think this. Maybe throughout the day, you're still being like, you're obsessing over it. Like, okay, I'm getting through. It's 10 a.m. I haven't had an urge for a donut. It's 11 a.m. I don't know if that's what might have been happening. Then at the end of the day, you're like going home and you're like, okay, I did it. Damn it, I need to stop. I need to stop and get a donut. I need to get a donut. Okay, I'm just gonna take one bite of this donut, and then there's shame. Like there's almost not thinking. You turn off your brain. You're like donut to mouth, bite it in, and then devour it. Then reach another one, then devour it. Is that what it might have looked like for you, or is like I'm trying to get like a gauge of what your daily looked like because it already sounds like torture hearing you talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I would say, so who I was out in the world for decades was,
Hmm.
health conscious, or, seemingly health conscious or whatnot. So I would go through this seeming life, up to a certain point. And I could talk, I don't want this whole episode to become about addiction and overcoming addiction and stuff like that. But like, there's this like afternoon hour that a lot of addicts hit, right? They can like manage. I look at it now more so from the development work that I've done, the emotional mastery that I understand is like, we store stuff in our body that we don't know how to transmute, how to deal with, how to cope with, right? Whether it be
Yeah.
like so that I took this into my working career, right? So I would go to a job, had a very stressful job out of college where I was judged a lot by my boss. I was corrected often.
Wow. So it's almost recreating itself in the different places you went.
Oh yeah, so like I would be this customer service person. I'd hang up the phone, and instantly my boss would turn around. She'd listen to the entire conversation, critique me for 10 minutes about it. So it was just this angst that I had in my body, right? And I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know where to, I didn't have the tools that I have now. When I get angst, when I get anxiety, when I feel uncomfortable with whatever criticism or whatever we're dealing with in life, I didn't know what to do with that. And so it would like just become this burning urge inside of me. And the thing that helped me distract, these
Yeah.
were all escapisms, right? Sexism, drinking, gambling, drugs, whatever. They're escapes from not being able to deal with how we feel.
Agree. Or for me, it's escape and or numbing, which I guess is a form of escape, right? So okay, so we have been talking about sort of this origin story of you, Like at this point, right, where you're talking about learning the tools, really being able to be empowered to make decisions in which you are in, I don't want to say control. Yeah, well, you have a certain mastery of the external things and the internal things.
It's consciousness, you know.
Consciousness, there you go.
Yeah, so understanding the seat of consciousness, and that was what also Landmark Forum gave me was
Hmm.
I for once realized that I wasn't my mind. Like my life until the Landmark Forum was my mind was who I was, right? Like
Yeah.
the story, whatever, I didn't understand how all these things worked. It's like it broke that apart for the first time. I saw consciousness and mind as two things, and I still do, right? And then
Hmm.
so consciousness is awareness, and what we can do with that, pulling apart and separating those and getting those as like, yeah, you can be, trapped in the mind, you can be run by the mind, you can go up to the mind for logic or whatever, but you have to remember you're more than that, right? Like
So in coming to that, the idea that you're more than that, that is that awareness, that consciousness, is that what you mean by coming alive?
I think there's something a little different. So
Okay.
so
Is consciousness the start of coming alive?
Well, yeah. It's so the seat of consciousness is basically how we as humans can take in our life. And awareness or focus is where we put our attention, right? So that's us being conscious as a soul, as more than just the mind running the show. Come
Okay.
alive is about recognizing and trusting the inner messages coming from inside of us, not just solely focused on what's outside of us, but like, what is my heart wanting? Really, I'll tell you a little bit of the story of where Come Alive
Hmm.
came from, because it came from our work in this leadership program. I was working with my coach, and he was like, I was working on this project, and really I was stuck in. Remember we talked earlier about compromise. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I have to do this business. I have to do this work because this is what the market needs, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've done digital marketing for a long time. I was an SEO expert, used to teach it, all this stuff, renowned expert at this. I was like, okay, this is what the market needs. Let me do that. Whereas in my heart, I have this 32-foot motorhome, okay, that 10 years ago, it looked like all the other motorhomes on the road. And I was so inspired when I finally broke out of the mold of the work that I had been doing. You talked about that six-figure job, the comfort, the mortgage,
Yeah.
all these things that trapped
The
me.
401k, the
Yeah,
stability, the security.
yeah, like, oh, marching up this corporate ladder with a wonderful 2 weeks a year of vacation, which for this wanderlust girl is like, that's just not enough, right?
Agreed.
That
Agreed.
coming alive was me recognizing inside my soul, this is not my, like, I am compromising. Me being in a corporate life, me being in, starting another digital marketing agency was me compromising. So what my coach helped me realize is, okay, why did you get this motorhome and paint her like a colorful rainbow 10 years ago? Because I sent him a picture of it. I was crying one day because I was like, oh, I can't get this to go or whatever. And he's like, okay, he just really helped me get present and go inside and listen to what was there for me. And I was like, what I really want to do is remind people what I got out of being in a circle, in a group, was I'm not going to keep compromising. I am going to trust myself. I'm going to trust my dreams. I'm going to trust the universe that I can have what I want. And so I came alive 10 years ago when I bought that motorhome. I quit my job. I, went out on the road, left a lot of security behind, for unknowingness, like uncertainty, a whole lot of uncertainty.
I, I love that. And it's getting me to think about sort of any coming alive moments in my life or opportunities where I can come alive right now. Number one is I've seen your motorhome and it looks like uh an ice cream truck on crack. Like if I saw something like that, man, like I'd want my like, those popsicles that are like red, white, and blue, my chocolate eclairs, like yo, when I saw that, that's huge. But also when you're talking about compromising, I'm thinking about like different models of joy and happiness, right? Like, and one of the things in terms of like essentially thinking that we're happy is when we go and we set happiness in front of us and we're just like, yo, okay, when I get this cush job, I'm going to be happy. Okay, I got the cush job. Now I'm going to go after this 401k. I'm happy. Now, not only do I have to be SEO, I have to be the greatest SEO on the planet, pre-AI, like whatever, whatever, right? And so I'm thinking about this two terms, right? This idea of Have you heard of the idea of a hedonic treadmill? That's where we're constant. Oh, sorry.
I think I know what
Yeah,
it is, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's where we're constantly chasing the external thing. And once we get it, we return to a baseline happiness and then chase something else, right? It's almost like a series of dopamine highs and getting stuck in it, you know? And so a professor at Emory went and termed this, his name is Corey Keyes, he went and termed this settling. Why? Because we're constantly chasing that high, but we never actually find some sort of grounding or settling form of joy, right? And so I'm thinking about this compromising, and I'm like, that could totally be settling, right? And then I'm thinking about this other dude who went and said, like, there's another form of the treadmill, and that's when we think that we're onto something good, right? We're onto something when it comes to changing people's lives. Hey, I know my purpose and meaning in this world, and so what I'm going to do is, as a college student, lock myself in a library and never see the light of day, never experience parties or anything like that. And like that in and of itself is a treadmill too, where you become a slave to doing good things. And you are always putting other things in front of you, you know, and it's a striving that goes so far that there's like no hedonic for you. It's just striving, you know? And so I know you and I have talked about this term called flourishing, but like flourishing is the combination of those two. You're getting the happy, the feel goods in the now, and you're doing the good things. And I'm also hearing that from the standpoint of, how did you phrase it, Polly? Compromising, you know? And I might be completely I might be missing the mark on that, but like, what is your thoughts on sort of compromising and settling and striving?
I think the word, so in the study of gene keys, again, not to go back too deep into it, but the study of it is,
No, do it. I love it. We're reinforcing it.
yeah, it's to sit with it, right? It's to almost meditate on it. They talk about in gene keys, like this could be, 10 years that you study all of your gene keys and you have, I don't know, 13 of them or whatever. But it's like you sit with one and you allow it to percolate in your life and you see where it shows up, because life is always giving us gifts of learning, right? It's like, you think you've got, oh yeah, I've studied my ship. I've got this thing called life. No, there, something will come along and rock it and to change it. And so, the study of compromise, I can see that in compromising the self, compromising your ideals, compromising communication, compromising, your expression. Like it's not just compromising the work that you do or the expression, it's like I compromise in giving more, the moms who overgive to their children and they don't receive, or they overgive, you give over or give in a relationship, the women who just, like, I've done this before, I just compromise myself for someone else's needs over and over again.
Got it. So I'm curious about this. I might have missed this the first time we talked about gene keys, but you're using the word gene, right? So it's like, are we born with this set of extraordinaries in which we are always kind of aware of or not aware of? And if it's like if you're talking about keys, you're talking about unlocking something, right? So like we're born with this extraordinary genetic set, and part of what we're going through in life is becoming aware of those gene keys or activating them through consciousness. And then also at the same time, as you're talking about consciousness, we can also look at, what does the greatest version of Polly look like? What does the greatest gene key unlocked part of Mark look like? And am I compromising that greatest version and, kind of being at a place where, on a regular basis, I wish that I would give my right nut to walk in the shoes of Polly Mertens for one day. Because look at her, my God, like what she's doing. She's so successful in the world. But then maybe on the inside, you're just like,
And same for
I don't
you,
know what's going down.
and that's where we get into that comparison, right? Looking at someone
The
else's
comparison
life
track
and yeah,
trap. Yeah,
it's not about that. It's not. It's
completely.
the Gene Keys is very much an inner journey, a self-reflective. It's like, what do you discover? Because in the study of this, so everyone gets this, they call it a hologenetic profile. So it's this little chart, it's, it's got these little spheres on it. And everyone's,
I thought that goes to 87 though. I didn't know it was 13. I thought there was 87 in that.
so I think what you're talking about is in
Human design?
human design.
Okay, got it.
And so there are a little different spin on it, so you can have a little body graph, it's called, in human design. And then it's a hologenetic profile in the Gene Keys. And what I like a little bit more, so human design, oh my God. So I hired a coach last year to help me with this. I was like, oh, I really want to get into this and study this and, fast track it because you get a coach and it's like, okay, you can go there faster, farther, right?
Yeah. Now, for those of you listening, human design is another element of self-awareness. I was asking a guest, I think yesterday. I don't know if they're called archetypes, but what they're, but there's a set of different, and maybe it's four or five different, for lack of a better term, archetype. Can you make us aware a little bit of human design and what's going on there, so we can jump back into the gene keys in your story?
Yeah, and I'm definitely not sitting here as the expert in any of these, but it's
All right,
but there are profiles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
got it.
without going too deep into it, there are what I wanted to say about it in the difference between human design and gene keys is human design feels like it's endless. Like it's a roadmap of the entire United States. And
It starts, yeah.
you're like, this thing is ginormous. How am I going to get to, the 52 states and see it all, right? Gene keys
I love it.
really helps. I mean, while the human design, it does show you your body graph. So it's like, oh, you have like a preconceived root. It still feels quite big when you start to get into it. So when I found gene keys, it was like a smaller version.
So I'm going to jump in real quick. For those of you who want to know more about human design, go and listen to my interview with Justin Fatzer yesterday, or I'm going to put the link in below so we could go into gene keys, because this is fascinating with where you're at with that. So let's jump back in and talk about gene keys, the self-actualization that goes on, the settling, the compromising, all of those sort of things.
And just as you said, about the unlocking. So, and, I don't have Richard Rudd, the founder of its words exactly, but basically our DNA is like crystallized with these codes, as you say, right? And when we unlock the key is we notice when we're living in our shadow self, or we notice this about ourselves, like we have a tendency towards this, right? So I have a tendency, I have a tendency towards compromise if I don't lean on my competence, and I get that matched with the doubt that is my other shadow. So when I have shadow of doubt, I go into compromise, right? And so I get stuck in corporate jobs that aren't lighting me up and having me live but when I step into my competence and I get curious, it's like, what can I do with this? What can I bring to the world? So things like the come alive get birthed out of me, right? So something to serve the world, to serve me, to serve a greater purpose, and things that I've known about and have contributed to, and I want to bring that to the world.
I absolutely love that. And I've got a couple things that I wanted to throw out there. Number one is I told you that my chair is broken, right? Do you see how far down my hydraulics have gone? So anyone listening, please subscribe, comment, so I can go and buy a new chair.
We got the
chair,
same thing. My chair was
my chair's like, so I'm laughing at that the whole time. Before we go into this, oh my gosh, it's already expanding out right in front of me. Yep, I'm getting goosebumps too. When you were coming back from like your work, your 40, with all the ostensible things, and like you would come home. I don't know, like even if your partner wasn't there yet, because I know you and your partner did some great, your ex-partner did some great things, right? You come home, no one's around you. Maybe there might be a moment where, for me, when I'd come home, I'd take off a mask. And I'm like, oh God, and I would just feel this exhaustion mixed with, I wouldn't say hopelessness, but there was no zeal or zest when I got home. It's just like, oh, made it through another one. So here you are with all the glamour and the attention and the riches. What did it look like before you started going into your own coming alive when you would come home? And maybe I could be totally wrong, that you came home and you were bubbly and you meal prepped and you watched roller derby. What was what did that look like before you came alive?
Oh, it sounded a lot and looked like what you were describing. So there was a phase.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, there was definitely a big phase where outward appear. So I was living in Silicon Valley at the time, which was high postulating. It was like everybody was getting more degrees and bigger jobs and more money and all this stuff, right? And I just looked around. So one of my gene keys is about patience and impatience and timelessness, right?
I love it.
So this is how
I love it.
starting to show up on my, like it's unconscious. I can remember being in Silicon Valley and I just had this because I felt like I was waiting for my life. And what that looked like was I'd go to the grocery store and there'd be this long line. I'd go to the bank and there's this long line. I'd be in the left turn lane and I didn't make the first light. I'd have to wait for the second light. There was this just kept seeing how many places in my life I felt like I was waiting for to get to my life. Like people who live in big
Yeah.
cities, you have these hour drives to and from work or whatever, right? And it just was I just noticed my life was being spent doing these other things instead of being in my life and, putting my hands in the clay of my life. I was waiting for it. And so that was one of, yeah.
My God, like that is just so tragic to be in a position when you're waiting for your life. And I think, for me and the clients that I work with, many of us have been in a stage of waiting for your life to come, And for me, when you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, that's when I was the most disempowered. That was at the time where I was like, I need this person to come in and help me get out of this. This was a time in my life where I would blame external society and not myself, or I'd be a victim and I'd be waiting for my life. Oh my gosh, Polly. Oh my gosh. So what was that moment now?
So when I talk about come alive, I look at this as like people are alive in their life when they're up to what they want to get up to. When
Yeah, yeah.
you got like a purpose, even if it's like, I want to go build my garden in the backyard, like woohoo, like you wake up in the morning, like people, you see this when people go on vacation, they can't wait to get it started, right? Like, they come alive, like get up at crazy hours to catch the flight, whereas like wouldn't do that in ordinary life because it's like, I'm just going to get up early to go to work and my daily life. No, but they'll get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to catch a flight to go to some tropical island or cultural heritage site or whatever.
Because it don't feel like it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel hard. It doesn't feel tedious, right?
Right, exactly. So that's what the essence of come aliveness is whatever it is that lights you up and has you feeling purposeful and you're making progress towards it instead of putting your dreams, putting your wants, putting your needs, compromising, putting everything that means something to you on the side, right? Yeah.
Have you read, my gosh, I can't remember her name now. It will come up. But she was a palliative care nurse and she wrote a book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And as you know, one of the 5 regrets was, I wish I would have done more things to light me up. And what I'm hearing you say is, you don't have to go to your deathbed and say, I wish I did this and then die, right? You can do it now and you can do it with you and the Come Alive program. I absolutely love that. And I'm also thinking of, I can't remember her name. It's still driving me crazy. It's going to be linking the
author. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another person. His name's Paul Bloom. He was a psychologist at Yale, and so he would teach this very famous introduction to or psychology intro program. And at the end, he's talking about sort of the positive psychology to life. And one of the 2 biggest things that he said was create projects that light you up. Don't worry about the other things. Create projects that light you up, right? And so I see you going like this right now. So folks listening, she's got this gigantic head and it looks like a bobblehead, like
yes.
bobbing up and down saying yes to me right now, right? You are agreeing. And so what else is coming up as I'm talking about Paul Bloom's talk and Bronnie Ware, something like that. Bronnie Ware is her name. Yes. When you're thinking about you reading that book, and by the way, I love the fact that you and I have the same reading material. We'll go into U Square in a second. Talk about that. When you read that part in Bronnie Ware's book, were you like, yes, that's it. That's where coming alive happened for me, and that's where I can bring that to other people. No, it did not.
It's not when it happened for me. No.
When was it when did it happen?
And that's really the nature of what I'm creating is I didn't get it from a book, because was I reading books? Do I watch a lot of YouTube? Do I do a lot of programs and stuff? Yes. And just like a lot of people. And we don't get up to things. We don't come alive, right? What I realized, so this was living in Silicon Valley. I had become a part of a goals group. That's what I forget what we call it, but I'm just thinking of it as a goals group. There was like 5 or 6 of us, and we would
sounds like a mastermind or like a right kind of okay, got it.
Yeah.
An accountability group too. Okay.
And so I just had this inspiration from looking at what I wasn't getting out of life, which was all of this waiting. Like Silicon Valley, just for me, was a lot of waiting, a lot of striving. It just felt empty. Meaning I was like, this is all there is. This is like, really? And in my heart of hearts, I was like, this isn't who I am. Like, I just felt the incongruency because I'm a traveler. I'm a wanderer. I want to travel. I don't want to go to a job 50 weeks a year and get 2 weeks a year off. Thank you. No, thank you. You can have that. Right. So
Yeah.
what I created in this one group was I said, okay, within 2 years, I will be leaving Silicon Valley. I will be going somewhere else into probably a small town because this whole traffic thing is just not my vibe because I want to be in my life and be doing it and living it and experience it, not waiting for it. And I just thought,
Was that a public declaration or is it just one that
yeah.
Dude, you're like, I'm out
Yeah.
in 2
In
years.
this group, I remember sitting, we were we met at like a coffee shop or something. I forget, but I can just remember us sitting around this. And I was like, within 2 years, I'm leaving the Bay Area. I'm going to do it. And I didn't know which direction I was going, whatever. I was just like, within 2 years, that's what I gave myself. And then things proceeded to happen and unfold. And I was gone in, I think, even less than a year. I had moved to the town where I'm in. I've been here almost 25 years. I love it. San Luis Obispo, California, which is a small community of nature all around.
It's good times.
Low traffic. Just, people come here for vacation. It's just has and so I built a plan, that 2-year window, if you will. So that was one of my come alive moments. But it was part of, did I know a lot of strategies? Did I know a lot of books? I'd heard about all that stuff. But being in that circle, being in that group,
Yeah.
making that declaration and then having people around me to hold me accountable, to support me, to pick me up when I don't know what I'm doing, whatever. Like all of that was that structure that this person, and I think a lot of people benefit from. And I've had that, I can show multiple times in my life where I've taken big leaps or I've made moves in my life, not necessarily physical moves, but like I came alive. Like I'm not compromising, I'm doing it.
And there's so many great things to that. Number one is the power of the virtuous circle, right? These aren't just we can get into groups in which the relationship is utilitarian in nature. It's just like you give me something or I want something from you, right? Or it's hedonic. I could see that happening in Silicon Valley. It's like work hard and then like just smash cocaine on the weekends, right? Like I don't that's just my take on it. Wasn't there, but I have a few folks who have stories. And then the power of the declaration, right? To go and say, "Oh my gosh, our leadership group was going to love this." To say X and then X happens, right? Or the way that I think about it, and many do, is like the declaration is, okay, there's a wall in front of me, and I'm throwing my knapsack over it, my knapsack full of food and everything that I got, and like it's on the other side now. And now that it's on the other side, my true survival means that I go and get over that wall. And I love how you mix the declaration with this virtuous circle who are like, no, stay with us. No, 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 no. Why are you doing that? They're not like, yo, girl, you went and declared it. Like, here's a hand. Here's a boost from us. Or, yo, if you look around the corner, there's no wall. You can sneak underneath the fence. There's a hole there. Or there's no lock on the door. That's what I'm getting from you.
Well, and that's it. And this is what I'm creating in the world, Mark. So if somebody's listening to this now, it'll be called Come Alive. And this is what is lighting up my heart right now. That's the essence.
I can tell. I can tell.
But I've been in masterminds. I've been in spiritual circles. I've been in Tony Robbins groups. I've been in lean-in circles, women's business circles, whatever, right? Who you surround yourself with, you get into agreement and community and you get mutual support. Like you get this, I call it the Rodell way. It's a way of having agreements, holding each other accountable. You don't just put anybody in this sacred circle.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Who's Rodell? I need them in my circle.
It's a set
Who's
of
Rodell
agreements.
way?
Yeah, it's a set of agreements.
Oh, it's contracts that you're making with folks.
Yeah.
I like it.
Agreements.
I like it.
I like agreements. It's like promises, right? It's
Got it.
promises of confidentiality, promises to listen big for each other, promises to hold each other to account and not just like, oh, yeah, you know how we do in our leadership circle. It's like integrity, right? Like, and also allowing people compassion at the same time. Like we're all human.
Oh, I love it.
We're going to have moments where we fall back and we help each other back up, right?
Yeah, I love it. I'm thinking just about this whole thing and I'm putting it together and I'm thinking about my own life. That both of us took a major leadership responsibility over the last quarter. And I'm thinking about when I started that position and just having so much doubt that I was going to be an inefficient leader that it turned into me compromising, right? And so it was kind of like more of a people pleasing leader. And then in terms of curiosity, and then realizing that there was a virtuous circle, we called them team twos of people that we can go to. That in and of itself has me here right now talking with a certain level of authenticity and confidence and momentum, right? And I can't help but think that that's part of your circle. It's, you know, it's it's happening in different areas, and now with Come Alive, literally that structure is there. And so I also want to ask you about this. You talk about turning your shoulds into musts.
Yeah. So
Where we're at right now, what do you mean by that?
Well, I want to share it. So there's four parts that I go through in making that leap, right? So the arc of someone's journey from wouldn't it be nice someday to having that thing, right? So four steps. First step is you turn your shoulds into musts. So I didn't just say like, oh, it'd be nice someday to move out of the Bay Area. I was like, no, I'm doing it right. So that should became a must, right? Like the whatever that pain is, you get leverage on yourself enough that's like, I'm not going to do this another day. I'm not going to wait another year. You know how they do accumulations, like how many hours you spend brushing your teeth turns into like 3 years of your life, things like that.
Completely.
So, okay, let me go through them. So, turn your shoulds into musts, right? Create a compelling future. For me, I've often not known what the future looked like. So, some people have crystal clarity, like, I want to be an astronaut or I want to be blah, 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 whatever. I want it, whatever. Whether you have that crystal clarity or you have just like a calling in your heart, you just like, you'll like the fog will get more clear as you go further and further. That's a little bit more so how mind works, especially when it's big leaps, right? Because our mind can only make up what it's got references for, right? So if
Completely.
I just know there's something bigger over there, I'm going to trust that I don't have to fully define it, but it's a compelling future that I believe in. So third one is you go all in. Sorry, I'm going to share all four, and then you go all in. And that's when that declaration happens. That's when it's like the should is a must. I know in my heart this is what I want. Yeah, I'm going all in. I decide, I declare, and then you take the actions, right? You get into action surrounded by a group of people that are like, yes, like I see you, go for it. Like they're just on the sidelines, like do it, and they're doing it too, right? You're inspiring each other back. You're taking
Because it's contagious.
absolutely all of that. You're
Yeah.
like, right? It just levels the whole group up.
I absolutely love that. And it's all coming together, right? Like you're talking about shoulds to must. If you don't do the must, it becomes a regret. Because there's a realization somewhere at some point that this is something that I thought that I must do, and here I am, and it's 2 decades later, and I'm like, yo, at 25, I knew that I was going to do it. I haven't done it yet,
When you
and could
stop
turn into
selling out your soul,
right.
you just
You stop.
you stop selling out your soul, man. I just have seen like I'm just like "Roar," like inside of me is like when I see people that are just selling out and they're living and their soul is just like inside, either just wilted or dying or something. It just hurts me so much. I'm like, let me just get in there and spark that. Like let's bring that back to life, right? And sometimes I like knock loud, Like I had a call yesterday with a gal who's looking at my program, and she was like, well, I really want to do this. I think it'd be great and stuff. And so she has this dream of, going out on her own. She's working as like a traveling, kind of like a traveling nurse, but she does traveling nutrition. And she's like, I'd really love to do that. And I said, well, look, if you don't do my program and you say no to it, what are you saying yes to? Because I don't care if you do mine or you do something, but I want you to get that.
Do something.
Want
I
you to
agree.
have that in your life. You deserve it. So find
I
something.
agree.
Find a group, find a program, find a coach, find something. But I do not, because I care for her. I must stand for her to have that in her life. I'm like, I do not want to talk to you in 8 weeks when my program is over and you still are back here. I'm not okay with that because
Yeah.
we're a stand for people, right?
And that's very mature of you and integrous, if that's a word. I think a lot of folks would be, hey, I'm the one to get you there, right? Let me twist it a little bit more. And I also got to say, like, definitely phases where I go into that. Hey, why don't you work with me? Blah, 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 blah. And I make it about myself. I don't make it about their transformation. I don't make it about, go out there and find something. Now, what I've found, and this is not a little woo, it's woo, is that the things that I do when I'm not on this camera, when you and I are not talking, are the way that I show up is the way that the universe is going to respond. And if I do that for one person, I'm going to get threefold back. And it's a certain amount of like, that's a paradox. Let something go to get more in. But like to live with grace, ease, and joy as an entrepreneur is great. And part of that is what I recognize that you're doing here. Polly, I just got to say, you're rocking this interview because we're going to be chopping this thing up and we're going to have a whole bunch of different things about selling out the soul and all this kind of stuff. It's beautiful.
Totally.
And then I also wanted to
I
touch.
just want to say one thing on that, if I may. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you.
absolutely.
I heard,
It's your sound bites, not mine. So like, go for it.
I heard this a long time ago, and it just rings true for me evermore. When you said that about like, oh, I have such high integrity, it's because I know that there's more than one. There's one light, but there's many lanterns.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
one light, but there's many lanterns. My lantern shines bright for who is meant to be, feel the warmth that I have to offer and helps light them up. But there's many lanterns,
Completely. Absolutely. I love it. I want to talk about this idea of a compelling future because, again, it's the work of Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, who's in Harvard. He was in Harvard, and he taught the most demanded course in Harvard history about happiness, right? And he talked to the students, and he now has his own school where he said it's the most important thing is to imagine your fantastic future, and I hear how you're talking about it. It's like you don't have to jump in with KPI 1, goal 2, and X3, and as a coach, that's something that also comes up for me because oftentimes someone will come in and say, I've got this goal of what? And I'll be like, oh, okay, so talk to me about the goal, right? Some people call it feasible, measurable result, those sorts of things, those outcomes that can be measured. And then I go and say, as a result of you reaching those outcomes, how does that make you feel when you reach that? Freedom. Okay. So when I'm hearing that, I'm like, this person's fantastic future is freedom. It's not a KPI of X with X number of dollars. So I, as a coach, would the way that I serve is to get to that freedom point, And I know from what I'm hearing from you is it could be that goal of coming in and say, concrete, this is what it looks like. Or it also could be there's something there. And it's enough there for me to get on a phone with Polly Mertens, and like get something from that, right? Are you in necessary agreement or disagreement with that whole idea that it just could be a feeling?
I would say I'm not a fan of living for something, but living from something.
Ooh, do tell. My God, so many sound bites. Remember to tag me with these sound bites. So start again.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
I'm living
for some.
I'm not a fan of living for that outcome so that I can have that future. Like, oh, I'll feel good when that happens. Have it now and live from it, right? Like live as if like this is where compromise comes in, right? I compromise my joy, my aliveness, my pleasure, my life now for that future. Like I'm just going to compromise, compromise, compromise. I'm going to say X and get Y, right? No,
Yeah.
it's like we get the life we bring to life. Get the life we bring to life. There's an old, you can't go to work to expect, or you can't go to whatever you're doing, right, and expect it to give you that. Because guess what? It all is an inside job.
Yeah, it's the waiting for life thing again. I'm going to go to my job and I'm going to expect it to fill me up. Where from what I'm hearing from you is you start with the fullness and you go to work and you live the fullness and then you go wherever you want next. And it's always that fullness. I love that. And also from a practical standpoint, from someone who's listening right now and they're like, that makes sense from a theoretical standpoint, but what does the praxis look like? What does the praxis of doing that look like? Especially when someone's like, I get it, I see it, I know it, but it's not working.
Well, I think the first thing you do is not trust the mind because the mind is like going to shut you down all over the place, right? So that's not where most of your inner light, your inner compass really comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And this is different for everyone to find their inner compass, to find their inner knowing, that truth teller that they are, that wise person that lives inside of them. That sometimes we go upstairs for the answers. As soon as I hear someone say, figure out, I'm like, oh, they've gone upstairs. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm like, no, come back down. I'm going to be interested. I'm going to be curious. I'm going to listen for, I'm going to tune in, whatever words, speak to you about where your real resonance is, where your real inner compass is, because it's not out there, right? Like these outward things or whatever. There's just too many spiritual teachers who, you walk the talk, you live from it. For me, when I find myself, so you as a neuroscientist and the student of all things neuro know this as well, is we can get into these grooves, these patterns, these energetic frequencies that we get stuck in, right? So I lived a lot of years in the frequency of compromise, right? That lower frequency, that shadow frequency. And it's tuning out from that and opening up to, what is competence, like trusting myself, believing in
Completely.
myself, right? And so you just, some of it is when I used to coach people with eating disorders, so I did that for a long time. And what I got out of learning through the mind and the habits is our brain creates these neuroassociative, these pathways, right? This well-worn trail to, like you talked about, how could I have an eating disorder and like do this over and over again? Like I was trapped in. It's like, well, the brain gets in a groove, and it's like,
Literally. I mean, it's just like the brain creates train tracks, is like what you're talking about. And so people, if someone is stuck in it, they own, like, the body and the brain and everything just goes according to what the train tracks are,
easiest
right?
path, right?
And then the external person is like, well, they're just weak or they're this. And it's like, no, let's go and look at some of the mindset issues or some of your belief systems that aren't necessarily objectively true in the world, if there is an objectively true thing out there, right? And so I love what you're getting at, because it is hard work. And I'm also thinking about the person right now who's just like, oh my God, this is so hard. And in order to do what Polly is talking about, I have to leave everything behind.
So
Everything.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because that's actually not, I was going to say, I don't want people to think that you don't have to follow my life path, So
Hmm.
this bohemian, wanderlust woman isn't everyone's life path. Some people are great at X and Y and Z. Awesome. That's just what lit me up. Like that's what, so I talked about one of my gene keys is hunger. The opposite of that is adventure, right?
Mm.
When I'm living in adventure and curiosity and newness, like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's like, that's my human design. That's my,
Mm.
crystalline design in my DNA. So you can have a created life inside of your today life. You just have to tell a new story and create it anew. So what I wanted to share though about these neural pathways, right? The frequency of compromise. So if you can like think of literally like a frequency, like a band of energy, and like an EKG, right? So it's like a lower frequency. And there's frequencies that we can't even hear that dogs hear, right? They're just super high piercing frequencies. We don't hear them. So we move up in frequency, I would say, from that shadow side up to the gift side to the city, like, illuminated. And so it's about a practice of allowing your inner frequency through not going up to the mind and asking for answers, because it's going to keep you down in safety. Your mind's job is not joy, it's safety. It's not, expression. It's, known, right? That's what it wants to keep you in. It's survival. That's it's only
Completely.
completely. So
And it's heavy. It's heavy, and oftentimes when people will explain it, even if they don't understand frequency or energy, they just say that they just feel so bogged down and weighed down, right? And I also wanted to throw out that book, Power versus Force, right? Which goes and does talk about the frequency. And there's like a frequency for joy, 540 frequency, right? There's a frequency for love, right? And so if you're talking about raising consciousness, I also hear you talking about, well, in part of raising consciousness, there's also raising the frequency, right? And I'm guessing just from what we see in things like, I don't know, physics, right? When you have like one of those tuning forks, right? Boom, I'm going to hit it on this frequency, right? And then you have a tuning fork on the other end of the room. That's the same frequency. It lights up when you hit the same frequency, and the other tuning forks don't, you know?
I love that we're going into frequency and sound, because in the last few years, I've definitely seen, and maybe you have too, this movement. I've been experiencing it in my own meditative practices, and I've been moving from, mental practices. So I studied hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming. I did a lot in the world of coaching around mindset and whatnot. But I've been coached and I've been receiving higher frequencies from my mentor around sound and energy. It's like, yeah, you don't need to keep it all at the energy level that the mind operates, but you can see yourself as the energetic being that you are, right? The frequency.
Completely.
I think this is
An electric beast of sorts.
I think this is why sound baths are becoming a thing. right? Sound bass tuning, right? Because
Yes.
people are starting to recognize, like, guess what? You are, electrons, protons. You're a magnetic tuning fork, if you will. And
We
so
are.
some of it, if you had talked to me 10 years ago, I definitely would have been down the mindset track of like, you gotta, do your affirmations. You gotta do, whatever. You gotta train that mind of yours. And now I've been noticing when you pay attention, consciousness, where's your focus on? Remember, we talked in the beginning with my eating disorders, like I didn't know what to do with that frantic energy, that anxiety, that
Yeah,
criticism, whatever,
completely.
how I would feel in those moments. Now I notice way more quickly the frequency that's created in my body. I step away and I go, whoa, and I know how to shift it, right? Breath is an amazing one for that. Simple thing.
Yes, it is. Do an exercise with us right now.
Yeah. Well, okay, so two
We
things.
need to do a box breath. What are we going to do here?
Two things I want to say. One thing, the one caveat I would put in this is the world of grief, because grief is a whole other energy level that I don't frequently work in. So for anyone with grief, that's a whole box that I respect, and I honor the practitioners that study that and work with that. I have not worked directly with that. So outside of that, I have a theory that no emotion can outlast 10 deep breaths.
Yo, this is a polyism right now?
No emotion can outlast 10 slow, deep breaths. So if you are in like the worst, if you just can bring yourself to do the slow 10 deep breaths, right? Take yourself out of the space, go somewhere, 10 slow, deep breaths. You'll get oxygenated, serotonin will start flowing, you'll get regrounded in your body. I mean, like
Cortisol cuts out.
all these
Yeah.
things, brother, right? So like 10 slow, deep breaths for those, like, I would say more manic. So the other thing, when you start to study your nervous system and how things work, you have a vagus nerve, right? It runs right through the middle of your body. It's your gut talking to your brain, right? You've talked a lot about this, so I won't.
Circles around the heart too.
Yeah.
Right?
So one of my favorite things, a gift I received many years ago from a mentor, is activating from sympathetic to parasympathetic is as simple as a sigh. Just
Hey, are you picking up what I'm throwing down here? Are you digging the Joy Revolution podcast? If so, I invite you to subscribe on this platform. Now, if you want more, I have an online community called The Underground. It's free to sign up. In there, you'll find mini courses inspired by podcasts like this one. You get to connect with other community members. I'm in there. The link's in the description. Let's get back to the episode.
And if you do two sighs, you're just like, everything's okay.
Yeah, I'm fucking good. You just go and take the rest of this podcast. I'm good. I'm gonna be lying down over here. I mean, Manny's gonna get on me for not
And I mean, like,
making my money.
breathing out, like letting the body sigh it out, right? Like, just because you're not chased by a saber-toothed tiger if you're sighing.
We are not. But the reptilian brain is still there that thinks that you are, right?
But
and
if
so it's
you
almost like we've evolved too fast.
train it,
Or we haven't trained. Yeah.
if you give it a sigh, it goes, she can't be running from a saber-toothed tiger if she's sighing.
Not at all. Not at all. Yep, I absolutely agree with it. And I know that there's very advanced forms of breath work, but I also love sort of this movement right now towards minimalism and simplicity. And where it's just like, hey, you don't even need a certain breathing technique. I love yours. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it with my TEDx clients, and I'm going to be highly touted as a TEDx coach, right? For doing this. But, also at the same time, just the idea of noticing your breath can get you out of your head. You know what I mean? And I also love, because on the other side of the hand for this, the flip side, since the brain is evolved, or maybe not so evolved the way that it is, I'd like to think it's evolved where it needs to be. The simple idea of thinking about doing something, the brain can't distinguish whether you're on vacation or you're thinking about a vacation or visioning a vacation. And so there's great power there as well when you're looking around objectively and you're in this muck, but then you can turn inward and say, where am I right now? And literally tune into a thought that, I don't want to say tricks the brain, but it soothes the brain in a way where it's like, oh, Daddy on vacation. Daddy's turning inward.
Can I give you one more from that? Because I love that.
Two more. I request two more.
Okay, well, we'll see what comes of it.
By 1:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe that's the way that I request of you, right?
Yes. So what I have discovered, it's again, we go for that living for instead of living from.
Yeah.
When you have a practice, or I invite people listening to this to consider a practice where it doesn't have to be an outcome that you're practicing. It's a way of being. So like if you said, oh, let me close my eyes and think of being on vacation. I'm like, how about you just close your eyes and just feel the frequency of love? Like we can all tune in and just allow love, and not who
Someone
you
coming at
love.
my neuroscience right now, but I like it. I like this.
Yeah. So what if you
Well, okay, so what is it? Walk me through that, because it's easier for me to envision. I don't know, being in a lake in Reykjavik right now, and just the five senses. Right? You're talking about something different, like locking in on love. What does that look like?
well, so and this is something that you come to, right? So this is
Mhm.
an evolution of my practice.
You come to, okay.
Right? So, yes, start with, it's great to be in the space of, oh, let me picture all these things that I want in my future. I want this and that and whatever. And then I feel all this, right?
Yeah.
And you've had so many experiences in life. You've probably been through the gamut of just about every emotion that you can imagine. So you've touched on those frequencies. Some point, some of them more, maybe your common frequency like mine used to be is compromise, or that's your home, right? But
Hmm.
we've touched them all. So even just contemplating a word and going inward and allowing that word to just like a word has a resonance,
It does. I see what you're saying right now. Yep. Keep going.
right? And then the mind, yes, because it will work with you, but you be the guidekeeper of it. You just stay, if it wants to give you ideas, like it may remind you, because that's its job, is like, love, that reminds me of this person that you love and that thing you love. And oh, your kitty cats. And oh, you love whatever, your bus,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay, right? And just stay sort of in the middle of the hub of those things, perhaps that it's feeding to you, but you're just like a frequency of that, right? So, like, if you want the frequency, you talked about freedom, like your client wanted freedom. It's like, what does freedom feel like? Like in the body, how do I know when I'm feeling free? Not because I got something,
Hmm.
created freedom as a vibration, as a frequency inside of my body, just by contemplating freedom. And sure, maybe there's an idea or something I've been free in the past or something, but once you have it, then just like feel freedom.
Yes. And I'm wondering if, even though you don't know how to feel freedom, you're saying that a word has a vibration to it, about just thinking about the word in and of itself, right? There's a study. Did you have any idea that I'm a nerd like this, dude? Like that I drop all these
Okay.
nerd bombs all the time, right? So there's multiple studies, right? But there's one in which I don't remember how, maybe it was someone just saying love over and over again. But those, they have this flat surface, the flat glass surface, and they spread like sand and
Mm.
sediment, fine sediment on it, right? And then they go and they amplify like the word love, love, love. And like that sediment starts to turn into a pattern, right? Or they go and they would say, I don't know, maybe God or connection or something like that. And that forms into another pattern. I was watching this one study in which it blew my mind, because the pattern looked like stained glass windows in a church,
Fractal.
right?
Yeah.
And then they were saying, well, maybe we were onto something much earlier on, and we built those stained glass windows. They also talked about the resonance of when they rang certain bells, and sort of the reverence that you get when you walk into some hallowed hall. I think there was another one that was done. I don't know if they were looking at water molecules or plants or something like that, but they played like heavy, like death metal,
Or
right?
even just writing the word. I know what you're talking about, the study about 25 years
Yeah.
ago where they just
Talk to me about it.
like a glass of water and you just put a label on it. You could do this.
Yes, 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 that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, or but they would do it with freezing ice, right? So they would freeze water into ice, and the icicles would form in different shapes. Some not so good if it was formed from, and you see this too in nature, right? I
Hmm.
remember kids doing studies where they would like talk mean to their plants, and the plants wouldn't grow, right? Like so there's literally studies of that. Like that's the power of your word, power of your frequency, and it's also inside of us as a thought, right? So we can tune into that frequency in the mind, say it out loud, like, that's a very spiritual way of tuning into a frequency. So whatever your practice is, but that's one of the things I was saying, like coming from is like
Yeah, I
grounding
love it.
yourself in a feeling, not necessarily tied to a thing, like getting a thing. I love goal setting. I'm a big fan of like, I'm clear, I want that thing, and how's that going to feel when I get there? Great. And you can just have that today. Guess what? Bonus.
I absolutely love that, because in looking at the way that you run your team, I'm like, man, this is a person who understands organizational structure and culture and storming and norming and all these phases. But there's also in the backdrop this idea of love and respect, inspiration, and coming together. and team. It's beautiful to see how all of those like coalesce with each other, right? It's not bumping out like, oh, KPIs and structure are bullshit. We just need to lead into love. Well, you might turn out into someone who's blissed out and not doing anything, which I don't think is the purpose. And with you, I don't think it's the purpose anything, because the last part of your 4 steps is action, right? And so a couple things here before we move to the next point. You've talked about emotions, and then you just talked about like tuning into the feeling of something. What is the difference for you between an emotion and a feeling?
That's a complicated one. Because I think it gets so blurred, and so many people talk
Hmm.
about it in many ways. So one of the ways I would look at an emotion is it's a chemical response to a thought. I mean, that's literally what's going on in the physical body. I do believe
Hmm.
we have 4 bodies. I think we have an emotional body, a spiritual body, a physical body, and a mental body. And
Mm,
they're always interacting with each other. They're on,
they are.
it's like this holographic thing that's around us. You call your aura, however you want to look at it, right?
Then there's the second energy body around that, which could be called the 5D light body. Yeah, I'm a nerd. No, it's not. I'm a nerd. I'm gonna cut that out. But just like, yeah, there's so many different light bodies. Was that a? Oh, I wish I had written this down. Someone talked about as the bodies that we have is sort of like we have this one dense body, which is the physical body, right? And then there's like a semi-dense one. And I don't remember what that one was. And then there's like I don't know, the opposite of what dense is, and it's the energy body, right? And I love how the way that we talk about that. But you're using this in explaining feelings and emotions. So yeah.
Because in the physical body, what we experience as an emotion or what we label as an emotion is a chemical
Hmm.
response to a thought, right?
Mm.
Something gets triggered, something we notice in the world, we label it quickly. The brain releases chemicals that send a sensation. We've labeled that sensation. I'll give you one example of labeling a sensation that I like to play with clients. And you're great at this with people with public speaking. So I learned this from a great public speaker, and it helped me be a better public speaker. So a lot of people can relate to that. They label it like butterflies right before you're going to go on stage, that like nervous, sweaty palms, whatever. I think I told you about this, right? So we
Hmm.
label it as like, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, you know, I'm about to go do this thing, right? And I got came to realize like the more I did that, it was like, I'm that way because I'm about to go share my gift.
Yeah.
Like I'm about to express myself in the world. What if I'm actually excited and I'm mislabeling it as fear or worry or anxious? So it's so same physical sensations, how we label it, right?
I absolutely love that. You had a great mentor in that. I also think that's something that I will use, and I'll put another zero in terms of that. In terms of how much I charge, but also what also goes with that is the idea of, and we're going away from feelings for a second, but like the idea of sending and receiving. We're oftentimes nervous when we're going to get on the stage or whatever that feels like, because the energy is coming up and you're about to send it out, right? Or you're about to get on stage and you know that there's going to be a huge amount of receiving that you're going to get from the group, and that might be overwhelming. And like you said, we mislabel that. It's awesome. And so I want to go to this because I'm going, where are we? Oh, 120 minutes in. This is badass, right? So, like, I'm thinking about a person that's listening right now and going, okay, I get it, but I can't make a distinction, or I can't define what it means to truly be alive versus just existing. Like, I'm like, I think I feel alive, but is that just existing? I think I feel alive because I mean, everything that my family and society wanted me to be is there. And I think that I'm alive, right? So how do you go and fix my chair? And then also, how do you address someone who's trying to find the definite, or trying to find, let me do this so the soundbite sounds good, right? How do you address the difference between truly being alive versus merely existing?
People ask themselves that. I love that you're thinking about that, but I don't think most people just aren't even contemplating it. They're just kind of in the settling, in the getting through life, whatnot. I love that people do think of that. There are some of us that are like, you know what, like I find, from my years of eating disorders and addiction study is there comes an enough moment, right? So it's just this accumulation of a lot or a little, just like too many compromises, sacrifices, putting up with a way of being in
Got it.
yourself that
Or hitting rock bottom.
it's what exactly. So the enough moment is whether you end up in an ambulance, you end up, in an accident, you just find yourself like humiliated, embarrassed, something, and you say, this is enough. I'm not doing this anymore, right? That's just people settling for a lot of not how they're supposed to be living. When you're in that phase, you're not necessarily asking yourself, am I living my full life? You're just like, this moment you realize enough already. And you start, and that's when you just create a new trajectory for yourself.
Got it. At this moment of us recording, July 23rd, 2025, in your opinion, do you feel like most people are living in truly feeling alive right now or just existing?
I want to speak into something that I think it's an invitation for people to live that way, because I don't want to label us and like pound our foot into the floor of us living that way anymore. Because
Yeah, you're doing well. I'm trying to back you into a corner and you're not letting me get there with you.
we speak our life into existence. We speak our life into existence. So if I say people aren't living their best life, then that will be more of what I'll see, right?
Mm,
And I would say, like, the more you surround yourself with people that are on that vibration, on that energy, and like we talked about, the top of this is like being the beacon for that, right? Being the light for
yeah,
that, being the
completely.
lantern for that. You give people permission, as Marianne Williams says, you give people permission to see themselves and to light themselves up, right? So I would say, focus on you. Are you feeling your most aliveness? Are you feeling lit up in your life? Whatever that looks like. And I'm not here to say, like, every moment of, I have a podcast myself, Everyday Awesome Project. And it's not like one of the first episodes we did was, it's not every minute awesome, right?
It's not
Because life is a journey. It's full of
completely.
detours and whatnot. So it's not trying to be this perfect human being that never feels whatever. Like those contrasts give us the joy in life. Like if we don't know, recently I had a couple of days of ill health. I was so grateful to have my health. I had had such healthy days for so long. Great. I snapped out of it, got unhealthy for a few days, bring back my joy of being alive and feeling good in my body, right?
I love that because it puts perspective on the whole conversation that we're having. So for example, you hit 540 frequency of joy. You go up to 700 something, 720, I don't know. It doesn't mean that you're not going to drop back down into some of those heavier energies, right? And so, what you're talking about and the coming alive group that I'm hearing about is a group that, okay, yeah, I get it. You made the declaration. You're low frequency today, but we've got you, and we're going to make sure that we keep moving that forward, right? So it's almost like this coming alive group is a microcosm of what the world could be, right? And so for me to back myself into my own question, right, and to speak it to reality, because I do agree with you. And I feel like more and more and more people are coming alive right now. And the opportunity and the possibilities there for us to experience some sort of, which I think that we are lately, profound, transformative. Once you see something and you can't go back anymore. Like I just had this awakening. Now it means that it's possible, right? And I do think that if someone is seeing this as hard right now, Polly, I love the fact that you're saying it doesn't have to be. It will feel like that. But this is what other groups are for, and being accountable is for. And then also being able to leave the group and say, look, the family or the community or the business that I'm coming back to after the coming alive group, maybe they're not feeling that aliveness, but I can take that aliveness and use that as sort of this contagion to, I don't want to say wake up, to bring the folks around me to seeing what the possibility of living at this new frequency looks like, living at this new consciousness looks like. I hear the breath. Talk to me, Goose.
um, you and I are both big fans of social justice, right? And so,
Pretty big fan. Yeah.
pretty big fan. Yeah, same. And I can remember hearing that, you know, I can't remember who it was that said it, but it's like when you take a stand, it's not because you're standing for or against something. You give people around you an opportunity to see what they stand for. So you say, I stand for this. Not what it allows is the people around you to see what they're standing for, right? And
Mm.
it's like when we were talking about that lantern and that light and being that beacon, it's like, I'm going to stand for this. And the more we stand in light circles, let's say, a circle of compassion and progress and joy and the like world working right
Hmm.
togetherness right in community, it's like, and when people aren't that, they get the opportunity to see what's possible and what do they stand for. It's like,
Yes, spicy.
yeah.
Spicy. Can you put a nuclear bomb sound, Manny, right now with what you just said? No, I mean, I totally blanked out to be with you in that moment because, like, absolutely, and social justice and social change can come from you just taking that stand and people being like, oh, what is it that I stand for? I don't know if I stand for anything. That's fine. You know, or you being able to take a stand in which someone who's been labeled or invisible their whole lives or in shadow their whole lives and thinking the shadow is the only part, you can take a stand and say, look, yeah, it's not like this isn't real, like that's part of something, but on the other side of the hand there's this.
You know what I just got when you were sharing that was when I say take a stand, right? Like people think like, oh, I've got it like hard. You also said the word hard. It's like, oh, I've got this hard thing. I was like, Gandhi never stood more than like 5'1", right? He never grew. He never got bigger. He never tried to be something, whatever. But he fully stood in his 5 feet, right? He fully stood lit up, alive as a stand for not compromising, coming from, what he knew, what he could cause, what he was up to, right? And he gave the people around him, the billion people in India at least, the opportunity to see what they stood for. And they said, yeah, I stand for that too. And he never stood more than 5 feet. He never had to become something he wasn't. He never changed shape or transformed, into
No, he
some
didn't.
superhuman, whatever. He was,
Completely.
if anything, he just was like, I am wholly this. And
Yeah, and he brought England to its knees.
yeah, around
He
the
brought it to
world,
its
the
knees.
whole empire.
Yep. He brought it to its knees. And I did also want to throw it out there too. Flip things around. There's a lot of suffering in the world and these sorts of things. And also, around the Gandhi camp, people would be like, well, can't he give more? Can't he give everything? Can't he do this? Like, look at me. Help me. And also part of that message, which sounds like being an asshole, was no, this is part of your evolution. Why would I take this moment away from you? And you call it the enough moment. So I'm like, oh, yo, that's what Gandhi was talking about. Like, I'm not gonna take your enough moment from you. And so, like, that's so from one end, it looks hard, but on the other end, it's the understanding of true human evolution and the friction that comes along with it, and some of the growth aches and pains that come with sort of this expansion of frequency.
Mm. Yeah, and
This
there's no one coming
leaning
to
into
save
hope.
us either. Gandhi didn't wait around for somebody to come save him, whereas a lot of people fall in that, like, can somebody throw me a life preserver here? I'm drowning. It's like, no, when you see someone who's a stand for what they're a stand for, it gives you an opportunity to rise up and stand with yourself. And I would say these circles that I'm creating and that exist in the world where people, are surrounded by community, connection, believing in one another, right? It's an opportunity for you to go, I appreciate your support, and just being in this circle is enough support, and I will self sustain, right? This isn't oh, these people are going to do this for me, right?
No, yes, I
Right?
love it.
One
And
of
you
the
practice that, but keep going.
one of the examples I was thinking of with in Come Alive is, a lot of people that I work with, and you do too, I think, are entrepreneurial, right? And
Yes.
I just kept seeing how many people in the world, so many solo entrepreneurs that like flying solo, that, the lone wolf is like such a moniker in a paradigm in the American genre of, like this is how it is, right? You have to go alone and you're lone wolf in it, right? And do you know that in the most successful companies, like if you take these, Silicon Valley or around the world, venture capitalists, when they invest, when they put money into, they bet on a horse, they bet on a business, they bet on an entrepreneur, right? One of the things they do is the first thing they do is they put a board of directors in to surround that entrepreneur with advisors, resource. It's like, hello, like they don't, if they think that business,
P2s.
all right,
Yeah,
they
completely.
give it support because they know that entrepreneur, that person needs not only you can throw money at somebody, but if they're just floundering and they don't have this network around them. So like Come Alive is like, too many entrepreneurs think they just have to do it on their own and go on their own. And I'll figure it out and whatnot. It's like, no. And another example, I don't know if you've seen this, but I was coaching a woman who became number one in a large multi-level marketing. It was like the largest fitness, multi-level marketing company in the world. And she became number one. And I was studying that model. And I was like, at a multi-level marketing, what you are is like, you're an entrepreneur, right? Like you build your little business inside of this business and whatever. That's what they teach you. Well, what they're doing actually is you have these like rungs, right? You have people above you and
Mm-hmm.
below you and all this stuff, right? Well, what is that? It's a network. It's a group of people
Ah,
that you're meeting with continually, right? And I'm like, yeah, they lift you up, you're surrounded and all this stuff. So it's while you're entrepreneurial, it's not just like, oh, here's the product, go sell it, good luck. you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And to add one more thing to that is that we're looking at modern structure, Western structure, right? Like where we're going from the I to the we. But also, indigenous cultures have existed like that for hundreds of thousands of years, and it continues to work. And so, if we look at some of the most anti fragile communities out there, some of the most flourishing and electric communities out there, it is all the we, it is all the us, and it is all the I said it earlier, the virtuous relationships. When I see Polly win, and this is true, Mama. When I see you win, I'm so happy. It's like I'm winning. It's even better than me winning. Why? Because I didn't do half the work that you did. I want to talk about your leadership for a second, right? In my declaration, there's a leader named Shiva that I had seen in the organization that we're part of. Then you took over for that role. I have a question for you. When we were in big group and small group, I mean your integrity is impeccable, right? But when we were in big groups and you shared the possibility of coming together as a team, I don't think that there was a time that I ever saw you not getting choked up about it. What's going on? What's going on as you're sharing that? I know I only gave you like 2 days for the agenda, right? But you always came through.
Yeah.
And as on it as you might have been, or as resistant as you might have been, you'd come in, and it's almost like you would turn. It's not like you would turn it on. It was like you could see the frequency go up, no matter where you were, and you could see it spiral out into the community. What's going on in your head as you're sharing?
I would say very little. And that's key, right? When I'm at my best, I'm not leading with my head.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the number one thing is I'm not leading with my head, I'm leading with my heart, tapping into my heart, tapping into the hearts of all people, right? Because I truly believe I've sat in enough sweat lodges, spirit circles, whatnot, and when hearts are connected, right, then people want to work together. People want to do their best.
Agreed.
People want to take on leadership. They want to serve. They want to receive. They want to give, right? And so when everyone is honored, right? And so I think what I was doing, or what you've seen me do, is I tap into the heart of the collective, the heart of that team or whatever. And I say, where do we want to go? Where are we wanting to go? And I just help feed that, or help create the path for that, or just be the conduit for that, if you will.
It's incredible. And the invitation that you always make to the group, we're a part of a group that's out to change the world, right? And when you do that, when you clear and are with us in the present, I can't help but feel like in a group of 32 people who are going to change the fucking world. There's nothing anyone can do, or cannot do in terms of this group. And there's nothing anyone can do to stop us. And it's because of that type of leadership that I want to declare that I want to take on that position. I want to be the Games in the World Chair. And so like it's just because that's the type of leader I wanted to be, and I see how important that is for an organization. Of course, another person can do it as well, but it's just like, how can I not be excited about doing something like that? You know what I mean?
For sure.
No.
I want to insert something, since this appears to be edited. The language I want to insert is, the world doesn't need changing.
Get it.
What if the world doesn't need changing, right? What if the world just needs us to come alive,
Okay.
right?
Tell me about the distinguishment
Yeah.
of,
So,
you know,
yeah, so this is like, the things out there aren't working, whatever. What if my sole thing is just me coming alive and just being in the world? And it's not like I have to make like there's all this improving and better and things aren't working or whatever. And it's like, you know what? I've connected with, the other side, and I think you have as well, right? Like our soul is infinite, right? This is all a simulation or a game or whatever we want to call
It's a game.
it, right? Right? And
Yeah.
it's like when you say live in the dream, I was thinking about that. I was like, oh yeah, that's like you're literally speaking that. Like, oh yeah, I'm living the dream right now because our souls are endless, right? So it's like in this lifetime, I'm not out to change them, him, her, the world or whatever. That's how I can say to my, that gal that was, interested in my program, whatever you do, if you say no to this, just say yes to something, right? It's because I just want you to come alive wherever you are in the world, right? I'm not expecting you to have to change. I just want you to be your fully lit up self in the world. If more people were just alive in their bodies and their life and what they're up to, not compromising or sacrificing or, some sacrifices. I mean, yeah, to do things.
Of course, you can't be at the same place at the same time.
Yeah,
Yet.
sacrifice
You know what I mean?
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, yes, in terms of the sacrificing of the compromise, like from the compromises that we were talking about earlier, heck yeah, we don't have to compromise that, we don't have to do it.
I love it.
It's been like 5 times I've adjusted it and I've tried to be like very secretive about it, but it's not working. So which is why I need anyone who's listening right now to hit that like or subscribe button, because daddy need a new chair. Daddy need a new chair. It's a steel case. That's what I want to get, right?
Oh, no,
Have you?
This is my how your life feels is more important than how it looks.
Yes.
That.
Yes. I wanted to share a Howard Thurman quote.
That's it. That's it. Keep going. Yep. He's the man. I love it.
Howard Thurman is the man. Believe he came from a pastoral care background. Atlanta, Georgia? Definitely in the social justice movement. Definitely in pastoral care. Who says something very simple, pretty much what you just said. I'll go and share that if it's cool with you. This is your inspirational quote, or the quote. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive.
Mic drop.
That's got a frequency in and of itself right now. I wish that Manny had a glass plate with a little sand on it, because that would shatter the sand. The sand would be floating, right? It's floating. Yes, there are things like the Alive Alliance movement, right? Because we're talking about the Come Alive program, but now we're going into social change, social justice. We're going into Howard Thurman's work. Now this Alive Alliance movement. Talk to me about what that is now, because that feels like the next level.
Yeah. So the bigger picture is, when we stop working against each other, when we stop compromising, when we stop competing against one another, and we start collaborating, we start being compassionate to each other, we start being in community with each other. The whole, this is from the 60s. They were awakening to it, and then it got squashed, and so it's just our generation coming alive, coming awake to what's in our DNA, what we're here to birth to, right? So the Alive Alliance I was thinking about it the other day, is like people who are alive, who are bringing aliveness, who are a stand for people coming alive in their life, in whatever dimension that looks like, because there are many lanterns out there, many people.
So many.
There's many coaches, just as many, and again, it's not get out of your life and come do this. It's just coming alive inside of your life. You might be doing exactly what you're meant to do, something that you enjoy. It's not do what Mark's doing, have a podcast, do what Polly's doing, get in an RV and go do that. It's like you can come alive inside your family.
Yeah.
You can come alive inside of your company, right? It's just about you coming alive. It's like waking up your ding, getting that consciousness, not just your mind, your brain, tapping into what your inner compass says. And it might have you go out and do wild things, like buy an RV and start traveling. It may not.
Ice cream truck.
Painted, colorful, or whatever. But
next time I see you, I'll dress up as a clown giving out balloons by the ice cream truck. Yeah, they're amazing. Let's freak people. Oh, that's right. Well, let's get Aaron. I love it. Tune to episode number 141 if you want to know who Aaron is.
What are we talking about?
Aaron's a part of our group as well. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to come in and enroll in the Come Alive group, right? It means that maybe you start with speculation or inquiry, and then you go into throwing your hat over or the backpack over the wall, and then You start working with folks that will help you take action, inspired action in a direction that not only makes sense for yourself, but the communities around you. And I also think that you're talking about something that's very important because you're doing movement work and you're doing what people would call God's work, right? I'm doing God's work, right? You're doing work for social change. And I think one of the paradigms that people think about when it comes to things like, hey, if I'm to do good in the world, I'm to get rid of everything. I'm to disavow, I'm to be like Gandhi, right? And I think one of the nuances that may not be nuances anymore is, yes, that's an option. You can do that. And some people do need to do that, like you and me, Polly. But also, if a person that is at a certain level already, you can be in the movement and be generating resources for yourself. So you can do even more movement work. Okay,
Well,
so I'm seeing the head going like this, and
well,
what?
totally. I mean, Gandhi
Yep,
today, he probably would have had a podcast. He probably would have had a YouTube channel. I mean, he would have
yeah,
had media
completely.
following him so that he could get his message out bigger, faster, right?
Same thing with Mother Teresa. She had a media team.
Yeah, exactly. And the more resources you have, the more resourceful you can be to support your cause, the mission, whatever it is, right? So it's not
Hmm.
about disavowing. And I mean, I love Samantha, my podcast co-host. She's all about Buddhism right now, right? And
Mm.
I think you are a walking meditator.
Buddha,
Yeah, walking Buddha.
because of my big old gut and a Asian face. I'm
I
just
do not
joking.
think everyone needs to go off into the Himalayas and get into it, because what happens is oftentimes they come back down out of there and they go, guess what, y'all? It's not up there. It's in here, and it's us doing it with each other, right?
Oh, that's badass. I love it.
It's not go to this mountain and like then you're alone and like you got all inspired and you just stay up there. None of them do. Like they don't. They come back and they live among us, and like us is coming alive and living among and being follow the teachings. Yeah, practice stillness and silence and walking in faith and loving your neighbor and all these beautiful things, like respect nature, right? Don't kill, or all those things. Yeah.
It's such a big part of social change too. To be able to say, once you reach that enlightenment, or once you reach that place of freedom that we were talking about, what is your responsibility to come back to the community? And what does that look like, right? So I know for you, it looks like one of the things that it looks like is the Come Alive Accelerator program, right? And so talk about that. Super exciting. We've danced around the structure and the outcomes and all that great stuff. How does it fit in with everything that we've been talking? That
Yeah, so depending on when you're listening to this, if you're listening to this, we're recording it in July of 2025. So it is
Mhm.
about to kick off. There will be other versions of it and iterations of it. But in today's current version, it is an 8-week program, a course, a group, bringing together change makers, people that we've talked about who want to be in community. They want to go from, I've got this thing that I want to into the world, whatever it is, or they've been settling, or they just haven't gotten something started, right? They haven't leaned into something that's been on their heart, right?
Yeah.
And so they come in and they're like, okay, I'm going to be surrounded by a community. I'm going to support them and they're going to support me, right? So 8 weeks, Zoom calls. It's a community, it has like a chat feature. You can like, group.
So it's live and it's in the real. Got it.
It's in the real
Got it.
world. Yes. And, ultimately, so where this is going in the future is, I mean, as the wanderer that I am, I'm going to take this on the road with me.
The bohemian wanderer that you are.
So it'll be people in group going, like I have plans for hiking in Nepal. So, doing treks, walking the Camino in Spain, right? Walking through the beautiful mountains in France or Switzerland, right? Like getting out into nature. My co-host just did a 5-day backpacking trip at the Pruitt. Love her so much. And it's like when we get out of our everyday lives, we get into new environments, right? That's why I think part of my joy in getting into my RV is like, tomorrow I could be in a totally different environment and I get sparked, I get creativity, I get new juju, new energy. Like being in
Yeah.
the trees of Oregon makes me feel different than being in the ocean by Santa Barbara, or the desert in
Yep.
Utah, right? Like I get
Yep.
different kinetic energy, picking it up from different vortexes or whatever. So it's like the journey that this is going to go on is, the things that light me up, the traveling, taking people on the road through these journeys and seeing what lights them up, being in community. Hiking a mountain is a great metaphor for for life, right?
So there is, I see this being as not only a program focused on effectiveness, success, right? But one that's also focused on like whole being of the person, the spiritual, the physical, the intellectual, the relational. When, say, I'm going to be right with you in Spain, but we're going to be doing running of bulls, baby. And the emotional, like we were talking about, like how all of these things come together and how you don't necessarily have to make it hard for yourself, right? It's not 8 sessions is not that hard, you know, and then also I see you, Polly, like I know that this is the Oscar Mayer Wiener truck motto, but like I see you traveling with your crazy ice cream truck, maybe having enough people, 3, 4 people to go and powwow inside of your RV, but like literally delivering miles of smiles.
Right, right.
This episode is not brought to you by Oscar Mayer Wiener or Landmark, right? But like, no, and to see how you're lit up, like going all over the world, like you're doing who you are, like you're being the wanderer, you're being, you're going on the journeys, the literal pilgrimages that you're going to be doing with people. You know what I mean? And so it's walking the talk. It's doing what you love. And then also the expectation that people will be lit up by it. And it doesn't have to mean they start their miles of smiles by an RV truck or do the Joy Revolution podcast. Because no one does it better than Polly and no one does it better than Mark, right?
You do.
Got it.
You do you, boo.
You do you, boo. All right, Manny. Manny, the producer, is like, stop right now, because he's like, no one does it better than Manny, the producer, and he wants to come in. I know that part of you at times will get competitive in order to get the best outcomes and efficiency from people, right? And by the way, I'm 21 minutes. I need to go and send my report to you, so maybe I'll do this while Manny's taking care of business. And so Manny wants to play an impossible game with you. A game in which many people take on, but no one has ever won, including Aaron, Annie, Justin Fatzer, from our program. And now you. Is this something that you even want to dare try, is to take on Manny, the producer, in his game?
Hey, man, you don't get anything in life by sitting on the sidelines, so
No, you don't.
Let's go.
And this is his game in the world, I would say, huh? Yeah? Come on in. You're going to give my team 2 more points if you come on in. Manny, it's all good. Okay, so what Manny is going to do, he doesn't have a mic connected to the podcast right now. He's going to talk in my ear, and he's going to ask me sentences, essentially sentences that have to do with how you embody joy, right? And then your task is to finish the sentence. You can make it one word, or you can go into a full diatribe on how you embody joy from the way that he phrases his sentence. And he goes and then rates you, whether you're right or wrong.
Okay.
You ready? Oh, did you see that? She just took a big ass sip. Like, bring it on, Manny. You suck at MC. All right. Here's the first question, Hurtin' Mertens. Let's get in the game. All right. Joy tastes like.
I think it tastes like love. It tastes like breath. It tastes like soul breathed to life, like a soul coming out of breath. Like joy is just a
Wow.
beautiful expression of love in the world.
Got it. So I would have answered that joy tastes like chicken. He's saying that was not the correct answer. And so joy tastes like love, breath. Manny? Manny has a cardboard box that he took from his desk, and he's opening the cardboard box.
He's like, no.
Inside of that cardboard box is an igloo cooler. He's opening the igloo cooler, and he's got a bunch of things that are fresh and wrapped in tinfoil. He is opening the first one. What is that you're biting into? He is biting into love right now. He looks like he's got a pepper shaker, and he's shaking something onto it. What is it? It's breath. It says on the and then he's got a squirt bottle, and he's squirting something onto love and breath. He's turned to me. It says soul, and it's coming to life. Manny is biting into this love, breath, soul brought to life. Manny, he's got a mouthful of it, and he's chewing, but he gave me the thumbs up. And he's like, that is what joy tastes like. Joy tastes like soul, breath, or love, breath, and soul come to life. All of that. Oh my God, he's still chewing. Okay, Manny, swallow so we can get to the next question. +1. The first round, you got 1 point. Merton, yes. He would hit the button, but he's got breath all over his dripping down his face. Okay, the second prompt is this: Joy smells like
sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, children's laughter.
Manny. Put the love down. Oh my gosh, Manny is. I never noticed this. There's a door in the back of his studio that he's opening. And the door he's opening, and there's sunshine going directly into his nose. There's rain coming through the door that's coming through his nose. It's going into his nose. Do you see this? Oh, now there's a group of children that are around him and laughing at him and pointing like they do in one of our courses that we coach. And that's going into his nose. Tears. He's overwhelmed. He's shaking because it smells so good. It does. Joy does smell like sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, and children's laughter. I would have never said that. I would have said that joy smells like chicken. Like, what the hell? Okay, 2 for 2. Merton, I'm getting excited for you. I don't think that I've seen a game that's been played like this. Effective for question 1, effective for question 2.
Hashtag winning. That's what I'm all about.
That's winning, right? 100% effective so far. Number 3. Close the door, Manny. Joy sounds like...
Joy sounds like a heartbeat at ease. Sounds like firework to it. It has like it's like the crackle of a fire or the firecrackers.
Manny, heartbeat at ease. Crackle of a fire.
Fireworks.
Manny has these big 1970s studio headphones.
I think Manny.
That he's putting, like, his chin is tilted back like this too. I don't know why he's doing that. And he's putting his hands to his ears as he's doing it. He's fully into the experience. Do you hear it, Manny? Heartbeat at ease. He hears it.
Like, yo.
We don't have the biggest sound budget here. Crackle of a fire, Manny. Yes, he hears it. Boom, boom, firework. Manny completely agrees. He does think that joy sounds like heartbeat at ease, and then crackle, and then fireworks explosions. Manny, what is going on with you today? Dude. Bro, this is supposed to be the hardest game.
I'm tuned in to Manny.
Merton is tuned in. Like, I'm feeling the polyvagal systems of both of you connecting. 3 points, 3 rounds, 100% effectiveness. Going into the 4th round, like, you got 3 points and there's 2 questions to go. I don't want to put anything out there, but like, let's go. Let's just drive it home right now. Joy looks like
it's a blinding white light that doesn't blind you. It's translucence. And sparkly magic that isn't a seeing frequency. It's something you just get absorbed into. As soon as you see it, you're absorbed into it.
I don't know what's going on, but in the studio right now, I can see it. I'm looking through the producer window right now. There is something in there. The whole thing is so lit up right now. It is white light. It's so white that it's got like those specks of purple sometimes because it's so overwhelming.
But he doesn't. He's like, I'm good.
Manny is saying, but I can still see. In fact, he's got aviator glasses on, and he's removing them right now and experiencing them. Manny, where are you going? He's disappearing into the light. Manny! He's coming back. He's coming back.
He's like, I'm one with it. I'm separate. I'm one with it. I'm separate.
Manny's giving the thumbs up right now. Wait, Manny, what are you doing? He's turning into a thumbs down. Manny hated being absorbed into the light. He said that's wrong. Minus 1,000 points. The correct answer was joy looks like chicken. How could you do this? We were so close. Ineffective. Woefully ineffective.
Damn, there's still one more.
There still is one more. All right, last question. Negative 997 points for you coming in. Do you see why Aaron got shut down and why Annie got shut down? This is not an easy... Wow. I just got to say, wow, right? Final question. Let's just throw it out there. Joy feels like...
Feels like a tender touch. Feels like effervescence. Feels like limitlessness.
Wow.
Expanding limitlessness.
Can you lean into that, Manny? Can you just at least try? There's a gigantic finger that's coming into the room. Just let it touch you, Manny.
It could be an animal. It doesn't have to be a human.
It's a gigantic finger. I mean, this looks like a Statue of Liberty finger right now that's coming in. It's touching him, but not hurting him. He's looking at the touch right now.
Tender touch.
You can't see, but he's got a really tight Indiana Jones type archaeology shirt, and he's unbuttoning it so that the touch hits the skin. A single tear is coming out right now. He's opening the door. Effervescent energy bubbles are there. He's getting onto his Harley Davidson, but it's got no wheels. Instead, it's powered by a rainbow. And he's flying into heaven right now. Manny, where did you go? What did you score before you leave? 998 points he gave you, which gives you 1 point. Manny is gone forever.
I've rebounded. Woohoo! We sent him off into limitlessness. Yeah.
This is how games in the world work, baby, right? Ups, downs, all arounds, right? Usually there's a follow-up for this, but my producer is gone. So I'm going to take the second question, which is the extra credit, because people get an extra credit question when they win the game. And it's this. So like you've known for even before we went into TMLP, like kind of what I stand for. And it's joy revolutions, right? And for me, the way I define it, and my company defines it, and the things that I do in this company and this podcast is that a joy revolution is that moment. And I've seen you do it. I've seen it happen, or I've seen you experience it, where you take in the world and internally you are just so overwhelmed with joy that the revolution of the heart happens. It starts feeling like it's bubbling over. Like you talked about, it's effervescent, right? A joy revolution on an internal basis, right? Then also at the same time, there's the responsibility. Being able to cause change in a community, a family, another person through joy. Joy as the leadership tool of a revolution, right? So the Japanese have a term called ikigai, which is very similar. There is a term called game in the world, which is very similar. So Polly Mertens, what is your joy revolution?
Because I don't think the world needs to change. I think it's about me being the change.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say going from my shadow to my light, to my gifts. The revolution I'm up to is transforming myself from living in shadow, living in compromise, living in confusion, doubt, all these dark spaces that have trapped me in the past, and letting them no longer trap me, so that I can be out in the world as a light, as a lantern, spreading that, being a stand in the world for all people around me to see what they're a stand for, and creating community that stands for each other as a collective.
That is something that I can get behind. And I see why the Come Alive Accelerator program is just so pivotal right now. new.getbusythriving.com/come-alive-welcome is where to go. The link is available in the show notes, and there's going to be multiple iterations of it. Depending on when you hear it, that movement will look different.
And just getbusythriving.com. You know, you can
yes, there's always fun stuff like that.
Yeah, we're up to new events, new things. That's just the Come Alive program, but there'll be ongoing things, and would love to play with people. You know, like life is a game, life is joy, life is meant to be, you know, experience like this. You know, respect,
right?
Fun, brotherhood, sisterhood, aliveness.
Hurtin' Mertens, I'm with you for the long haul, my friend, and I love you very much. I appreciate you being on here. And you're always welcome to come back. And I'm probably going to barge in on your business at some point too. So
You better.
on behalf, I better.
You better.
On behalf of Polly, for your sake, for my sake, for our sake, for goodness sake, start your revolution. Start it in love, in light, in shadow, and in joy, baby. All right, this wraps up another episode of the Joy Revolution podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And since you made it this far, go ahead and hit subscribe. Now, if you want to hear more podcasts, or if you're ready to engage with a community who will support and challenge you, if you're ready to start your own Joy Revolution, head on over to my online community, The Underground. The link is in the description. It's free to sign up. I've got a bunch of resources in there, including my own Joy Revolution course. So until next time, I'm Mark Cordone Creative. Dig deep, and I'll see you in the underground.